Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take because life has no rehearsal. This is one of our favorite moments at Your Gray Matters because we get to meet all sorts of interesting people. Today, we're honored to have Alfredo Pedroso here. Alfredo has a long, long history in advertising in Miami. You could say, to borrow a title, that he was present at creation because you were. Uh, his very first agency was Sanchez and Levitan, one of the mythical agencies in Miami. They had Publix, I don't know what else, but like Publix was like their maybe FP&L, I can't remember. Publix for sure,
Yeah.
and they really made Publix. Then he went to work for PR, so he tried to be a nice person. What was it, Bruce Rubin Associates, but then he joined one of the not nicest persons and a personal friend of mine and one of my favorite guys in the world, Al Garcia-Serra at GSB. GSB, right? Yeah, Lintas.
Something like this, right?
So you went from PR to you do what I say, and that's it. Al Garcia, by the way, is one of my favorite guys in Miami's advertising universe. I know him all the way from when he was doing the advertising for Omni, if you can remember.
Yes, of course.
Right. So then he went into Y&R, of course, one of the key names in the world of advertising. Period. That's it. It's one of the top agencies anywhere. And then he went to sell media. So Alfredo, and it's incredible. I want to be on record about this. I had not met Alfredo until like what, a month ago, a couple of months ago,
Something like that. Yeah.
something like that. It's incredible because we have coincided with just about everybody.
Yes.
So amazing,
Yeah.
really amazing.
We haven't even talked about Siboney and
Oh,
maybe my connections to the Cubas family. We can do that.
well, Jose Manuel Cubas was my very first, super duper international boss when I was creative director of Siboney in the Dominican Republic in 1979. So I know all of the Cubas, like all of them. Gustavo,
I met them through my sister-in-law, whose her best friend is Alina, Jose Manuel's oldest daughter.
yeah, of course, the one who married Bernard Fontenot.
Exactamente.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Bernard and I go way back, as you can imagine. FCB, Siboney, the entire thing. I know Kalin really well, like
Great.
so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like we got a lot of ties, and yet we met 2 months ago. So, well, let's dive right in. A
Okay.
person like you, like a person like me, we've had many moments in which our lives forked. We could have done this, or we could have done that, and we chose to do this, and then that happened, and you know, it is what it is. I mean, we've been in the business for like 2 centuries or something.
Yep.
But there's always one moment that, basically defines you as a professional. That key decisive moment. Tell me more about it.
Well, for me, it was when I joined IAC when I went to go work for Ana Maria Fernandez Haar, after GS&B had been acquired by Eduardo de Rivero and Luis Miguel Messianou to form what is today Alma. Right, it has also gone through its different names and iterations,
Yeah.
but I had left GS&B because I really wanted to continue to explore the US Hispanic market and work with an up and coming agency, which at the time IAC very much was. They were working with clients like FPL. And they also had started to work for Publix, and they were doing a lot of multidisciplinary communications work. And they had just recently had, or Ana Maria's sister had been working with her and for her, and had left the company because they were not able to sort of see eye to eye on the business. And so I went from essentially being an account director at GS&B to becoming the general manager of the agency, because they were looking for somebody. First they needed a few more men. They were also looking for somebody that had broad communications expertise, right? And they were looking for somebody that could help elevate what they were doing beyond just their sort of two key clients in FPL and Publix. But from the get go, like I never really explored why it was that Anna Maria couldn't work with her sister or others. And I very much came to understand that um, the focus had to be on Ana Maria and what Ana Maria wanted. And nobody else, and also sort of like I'll get into my own shortcomings, but I was the wrong person at the wrong time. And my own shortcomings, I wasn't prepared for leadership yet. I didn't really understood what that meant. I was thinking more of as a sort of a top down rather than leading by example or helping people resolve issues. A lot of it also was just clashes on direction. Anna Maria had very, very specific ideas on what she wanted to do with certain clients, and I had different ideas. So, having not really explored both the emotional side of leadership by asking questions about why is it that you're looking for outside a super senior role rather than looking inside with people that you're already comfortable working with, right? And as well as not really having done like a sort of a good inventory on my own skills and sharpening them rather than sort of assuming that I had already achieved something when I hadn't fully, I think, earned it yet. Um, so, long story short, she fired me. um, uh, we
We've
were,
all been fired.
oh yeah,
Come on.
I had been on a contentious phone call with her on set. We were filming a spot for Bell South Publishing Company, which is the Yellow Pages for people that are not quite as gray as me, if they've ever heard of the Yellow Pages. So it was a contentious phone call, and I knew coming back that this was it. That we had come to a point of no return. But what made it decisive was that in searching for my next role and sort of preparing myself, I did do that inventory. I did take a look at myself and say, you haven't quite yet earned the honor of being a general manager or a senior executive in an agency. You have to still work at it a little bit harder. And I also decided that I didn't want to be involved in the US Hispanic market anymore. And I really wanted to focus on Latin America and international opportunities, which led me to Young and Rubicam. And I spent the next 10 years of my life there.
And then you went into media sales, which
Yes.
is one of the hardest things I think in the world. I used to tell people at the agency that the salaries in the industry were like an inverted pyramid, and the salaries were like a pyramid, and the responsibilities were like an inverted pyramid. Clients have a huge amount of power; they make the least amount of money.
Yes.
Agencies are in the middle. We have some power, we have some money, but media reps make the most money because they have the least power. It's a very tense thing because media reps, of course, they don't decide anything. You
Right.
come in, you do your pitch, maybe you succeed, maybe you don't succeed. Maybe you have a media director that kicks you out of your office, maybe you don't. So you went into media sales. Now, media sales has also changed a huge amount. I'm not gonna. Well, I'm only gonna say her first name, Madeline.
Okay.
So Madeline went from selling what was it, Editorial Televisa later on, Vanidades, all of that.
Right.
Uh, she went straight into programmatic advertising, into a website,
Right.
and they had two different areas. One, Madeline's was like premium advertising, supposedly people who would come in and say, "I want to be in this website," and then there was another Chilean woman, I never knew her name, who was into programmatic advertising, and of course, at the end, she won. Media sales, especially online, have become essentially a programmatic game. It's a data game.
Yes.
A bunch of DSPs, SSPs, blah, blah, blah. So, what do you feel changed in your field at that point when you were in media sales that you could have never imagined? We also imagined many things. What did you find changed that in 1,000 years you would have never guessed?
Well, I think for me, the biggest change was right at the end of my time at Y&R, and sort of what set me onto the path of media sales was the dot com implosion of 2000, right? And 2001. Whereas our focus on the agency side had been about how we can build and create these sites, but mostly thinking about it from a design, almost like as a creative project, right? Without really thinking about how they were going to make money. And then all of a sudden, you started to understand, or at least I was understanding, that they were all about advertising. The business model for everything still today is advertising, as opposed to actually making money on the products and services that you would sell on those particular websites. And a lot to what you were talking about, that inverted pyramid of I can make a lot of money essentially working with the same people that I have been working with in the past 10 years, right? All across Latin America. So it was very much, this really dramatic shift in our business. Even though the dot coms imploded, the gap between essentially Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 was also collapsed, and the industry started moving very very quickly away from all of the traditional types of advertising that agencies had been so focused on. Right, it became less about TV and much more about in those days, banners and homepage takeovers and like all those kinds of things. And then obviously increasing in terms of sophistication, moving much more towards programmatic, audience buying,
Right.
to, like the importance of a publisher and the importance of a publisher brand. Um, so like those were absolutely critical changes in the marketplace, but like ones that I had really been exploring already at the end of my time at Y&R, by focusing so much on digital projects and digitally oriented clients.
So, however, you are now, and this might take us into the next question is okay, so that changed. What did you do? Right now, you're in a very interesting area with YouTube creators, you know, building those creators.
Yeah.
Was that your response to what happened, or
Well,
how did that come about?
I think that my response first, to the changes that took place in digital, was honestly like um, a recognition that, um, again, with the inverted pyramid, we have no power, right? Sellers lost, especially with the advent of programmatic, and where clients were just, or advertisers, agencies, actually, media buying agencies, were just buying audiences. That all of that power dissipated because you used to associate yourself with a powerful publishing brand, the New York Times,
Yeah.
Terra, all the properties inside the Time Warner umbrella. But that all got blown up, and agencies understood that they were media agencies, understood that they were no longer going to make money off the way that they had in the past, off of rebates and incentives, right? They were going to make money on their own trading desks, right? Their own
Yeah.
DSPs, and that proprietary shift. So, like, how I responded was to say, I have to get out of the media business because on the agency side, nobody gives a fuck.
You
I
can
hope.
say it. Nobody cares.
They don't care. They are not focused at all on client outcomes, or what will actually benefit the client from a media selection standpoint, right? Activation is all about how are we going to make money, and you do that by reducing the number of suppliers that you work with, which means that unless you're with Google or Meta or Amazon, you're not going to make the cut. And sort of understanding what that was and saying, I have to get out of the media sales business as well.
No, so right now it's a very interesting thing that you guys have with YouTube. So it's a great shift. I mean,
It's essentially why fight them when you can join them, right?
exactly.
So like our primary focus with Creators Trust Studios is um, let Google go ahead and place all of the advertising that they want, right? I can't outsell them. I don't have the manpower or the skills or primarily the knowledge of how the YouTube algorithm works, which they absolutely do. Right?
Yeah.
And so what I can do is execute all of those things that they tell creators to do. YouTube has at least three or four different kinds of channels and several pieces of ways of communicating with creators, and none of it is about make better creative. It's all about here's how you can optimize your metadata. Here's how you need to work with tags. Here's how you need to do like all of this technical stuff that essentially sends signals to the algorithm to get your video viewed more, or your thumbnail clicked on more, so that you can drive views and therefore create opportunities for Google to sell advertising on your
But
content.
it's a very good shift. So in the couple of minutes that we have left, we've talked about this. I've told you a couple of really funny stories about how
Yes.
people see this entire thing. But of course, let's begin with one obvious statement. Ageism is for real. A lot
Yes.
of people see people like us. Actually, my beard, I trimmed it today. Yours is even bigger. And they see, oh my God, old people. So let's say you were consulting for a CEO. The CEO is going to hire, somebody, and there's many candidates. Some of them are 30 years old. Some of them are 45. Some of them are what Irving likes to call POA, people of age, right? Which I
Great.
think is brilliant.
Yes.
What do you tell that CEO about the advantages of hiring somebody like us?
Well, first is definitely judgment, right? The one skill that can't be sharpened without experience, I think, is judgment, right? Because you have seen enough to know that you could probably trust your gut instincts on a lot of things, right? And then carefully considering judgment. So like whether you're regardless of what you're evaluating, strategic options, somebody to hire, capital allocations, all those kinds of things, I think boil down to using good judgment. And I do think that gray hair is a product of exercising judgment. I would also say, like one other thing that my partner Irving and I talk about is, and that I would always tell a CEO is, um, don't work with assholes, right?
Yes.
Also judgment, right? And you should be in a position to know who are the assholes on your team, get rid of them, right? Who are the clients that are assholes, also get rid of them, right? Be ruthless about wanting to work with good, genuine, honest, transparent people that act with integrity, and that say what they mean and do what they say.
Yeah.
So basically, that having a sort of an anti-asshole viewpoint, I think,
Yeah.
is
Marcio Moreira, who was the vice chairman, he's the guy who invented the wave for Coca Cola, right?
okay.
Marcio Moreira was a legend at McCann.
Yeah.
And I worked for Interpublic three different times. Two of them, I was part of the Worldwide Media Council. So, we interacted with Marcio a lot. Marcio was vice chairman at some point.
Right.
And, his dictum was Hire slowly, fire quickly. Take your time, think about the person. When you hire a person, you know, you've given it thought. But if the person doesn't work out, you know, end the misery for all, fire the guy.
Yes.
Brendan Ryan, who was the CEO of Food Cannon Building, made it even shorter. He would tell us, do not hire assholes. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
They destroy the entire organization. So don't do it. Hire nice people, like
Yes.
what you just said. People that you really want to work with. Because, honestly, most of us, uh, most of us have worked all of our lives, at least 10 hours a day.
Yep.
We spend 10 hours a day working, 10 hours a day at the office. Uh, Never mind the social aspects. We really have worked to
Oh yeah.
get where we are.
Yeah.
So you do spend a huge amount of time with people in your working environment. So you don't want to be surrounded by assholes at all. You want
Yeah.
to be surrounded by people you can trust, people that, have your back, people that you want to have their backs. So yeah, I agree with you. And I
Fantastic.
agree that gray hair is like a filter against it.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let me get rid of that.
Yeah.
I can't believe all these uh, scam or potential scam or whatever they call it. I am forever thankful for that. That's a really good filter to have.
That's a great filter.
Yeah.
We need more of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, Alfredo, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We do have another upcoming. We need to meet again at Gracianos.
Yes. Absolutely.
So
I forget which day is like the special on arepas and happy hour, so we can do both.
oh yeah, we do both. I like the happy hour. Arepas. I'm trying to lose weight after 5 weeks in Spain and France.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's okay. Couple of glasses of wine will take care of that.
Exactly, yeah. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And then I will see you around since we're
My pleasure.
neighbors.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk soon.
Bye bye.